All right, who's going to start this, Matt? You or me?
Well, it sounds like you already did.
Okay, so we're live.
We are
Okay,
live.
I'm Bob Bickle,
I'm Matt Avery.
and we're with RunSignUp, and we're going to talk about race day scoring today, but put it in the context of RunScore some. So I'm going to do some slides up front, and then Matt's going to take over and kind of walk through the product some. Next slide, Matt.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
hmm?
I'm just gonna go away and
Goodbye, Matt. I hope you don't leave forever.
so believe they can see the screen. Let me just actually hide you. Bob, can you hide yourself as well so we can see the screen?
Sure.
Great.
Okay. So race day scoring is really meant to be a next generation scoring platform. Several years ago, Roger Bradshaw, who wrote Race Director, joined us. Race Director is used very broadly in the industry, but the problem is it's 29 years old, and so it's not utilizing current technology, becomes harder and harder to maintain over time. And there's just things that we can do with it that will that in new generation technology that will make the product, a lot simpler or more powerful to use. And so when we looked at doing this, we felt that there really weren't that many companies in the marketplace that had an incentive and the financial wherewithal to actually produce a decent scoring product. It's tough software to develop. Ask Alan and Roger, who've been developing it for 30 plus years each. It takes time and it takes talent. It takes, like a lot of effort. And because of the way our business model works with races and making our money off of processing fees, and by partnering with so many timers, it allows us to afford the staff basically. The other kind of interesting thing is that because we're kind of independent and we're known for being open APIs and everything, is that we are producing an open platform for the industry. And that means it's cross-chip system. Certainly chip vendors, a number of them have scoring software, but they're really tying that to their scoring software. On the registration side, this all uses the open API from RunSignUp that's been around for years and years. And we have a long history of supporting multiple vendors on the registration side. And we understand timers can't be forced to go off to just one registration platform. And when we looked at the market need, this word Goldilocks is here. And it really refers to, you can kind of switch the slide now, Matt. Like Race Director is always known as kind of like the easy to use menu type of system, and RunScore was always known as kind of like the powerful system that you could program and stuff like that. And much like Race Director, it had a number of features that people liked about it. It was open, you could do it locally, but it was reliable and had great support from Alan and his team. Where it became more powerful was that it actually has programming logic that allowed much more flexibility on the reporting side and more flexibility to put the power into the timer's hands of handling a number of different complex race scenarios. Next slide. And so when we were coming up with a design for race day scoring, if you've seen it, you know that it's very menu driven. It strives to be easy to use and so forth. But what you may not see as so obvious is that a lot of the design was actually inspired by what Alan did with RunScore. And specifically, when you look at a report inside of race day scoring, that report is actually being driven off of multiple listings that happen underneath the covers. So much like in RunScore, where you have listing files and you have programming logic behind the listing files, the same sort of thing actually happens inside of race day scoring. And one of the other nice things about RunScore is that you can define your own custom fields. And those fields can actually have computational elements to them as well. We have that capability built into RaceDay scoring as well. And then finally, the programming language that Alan created for RunScore. What we've done is we've kind of created a modern version of that, where that programming capability is all there and built in. It's actually saved in this open format called JSON that allows it to interoperate potentially with other things, which is kind of cool. I don't expect anybody to utilize that in the first year or two, but I view it as being something that's going to be very powerful in the future. Matt will get more into these features, but you see a little example on the right-hand side of how you can create some programming logic. So it supports like if, then, it supports different math functions, it supports different comparison functions, ands, ors, nots, etc. A lot of formatting types of capabilities are built into it as well. Absolute values, that sort of stuff. Next slide. So, we really, like, anybody who knows me knows I'm like this huge fan of Alan, and he's definitely helped inspire us. RaceDay scoring. So really, as this next generation, what we're trying to do is provide a path forward for timers. And with all the timers who've come to the RaceDay scoring certification sessions, we've had over 270 timers come, and it's a wide range of scoring platforms that people are looking to RaceDay scoring to move from. So that includes, Race Director, RunScore, and countless others like ChronoTrack Live and so forth. And what we're trying to do is set it up such that people can migrate kind of at their own speed. They can dual score. You might have seen on Timers Talk last weekend, Roger was down at a race, and they were dual scoring that with Race Director and RaceDay scoring. And that allows timers time to get used to it. It allows time for us to get great feedback from timers on what's needed in the product, features, and so forth, finding bugs and so forth. So it's really this nice smooth transition that we've put down for Race Director and RunScore users to move to the future. And when we look at that future, we see a lot of different features here. It's a more native integration. It's simpler. It allows to share scoring mechanisms between multiple timers. Everything is done in real time. So as people cross the finish line, all of your reports and everything are automatically regenerated. And we have this really nice, simple client-server architecture where you could have a central scoring computer and then dozens and dozens of other locally networked computers that would access it to do things like check-in or results and so forth. Next slide, Matt. To pull all this off, we're really, really lucky to be able to assemble a team like what we have. Roger Bradshaw, who's been in this business for close to 30 years now. Steven Sigward is our CTO, and he's the lead architect behind, like the listing structures and computed fields and things like that that's underneath the covers. He's extraordinarily talented, as anybody can see who uses RunSignUp and appreciates the technology. Matt Avery, who's here on the phone with us, he was a timer and then came out of the cold. Worked on our support lines for a while, helping support Race Director users, and now he's the product manager for the product. So he's helping to define, what timers need, order priorities, and so forth. And the fact that he has a true understanding of the industry and what it's like to be a timer really kind of shines. We have these weekly calls, and it's really interesting to hear this group of experts talk about, what they want to do next and so forth. James Harris is the creator of RaceJoy. RaceJoy is an incredible piece of technology, and we're able to leverage his talents. He's done a lot of things in his career. He's managed large teams, and he's written obviously a lot of great technology that's very complex, from PC level all the way up to cloud level technology that's inside RaceJoy, is apparent in RaceJoy. And now he's the lead for this. Michael Chisholm joined us a couple of years ago, and he's a developer on the product. He originally joined us as part of RaceJoy team. He's now doing a bunch of really cool stuff. He just re-architected some stuff to provide more visibility into listings and how reports are run and assembled and things like that. And then Jack just joined us. So his first week was last week, and we were reviewing code in this Monday's call, and he's already done some contributions, which is fantastic. He's off to a great start. Next slide. So the overview of RaceDay scoring, the features, it runs on PC or Mac. It really only runs on PC from the perspective of being able to connect to timing systems. The Mac is something that can be used as a client to a PC. It's open timing system support, so we support pretty much every major hardware vendor and a number of minor hardware vendors out there. It's got a real-time architecture built to it. It's really, really cool technology that's underneath the hoods of this. It's very flexible in scoring, much like RunScore is. It's got an open API for everything, both participant syncing as well as posting results and everything. Everything auto syncs with the cloud, so you don't have to worry about it. It operates locally, but if you're connected to the internet, it'll auto sync and back up and things like that to the cloud. Everything is open, everything is shareable, everything is well defined, and it's all built on a modern computing architecture. Matt, I think I'm turning it over to you now, right?
Yeah, I do believe so. So thanks a lot, Bob. First of all, for giving us the opportunity to work on such a cool product. I'm super excited whenever I get a chance to talk about it and get a chance to show off all the features we've been able to put together. So we've been at this for, I guess, about 3 years or 2 years now. And we've got a lot of stuff here. There's still a lot to come. But today I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what the product's like, the different pieces of it in a generic top-down approach, so you guys can be a little more familiar with what the product looks like. It'll give you an idea of where you need to go if you do want to try the product out, which I highly recommend. So when you open up a race in RaceDay scoring, the first thing that you notice is you load up this race dashboard in this. By clicking the little home icon on the top left, you'll be able to access this. And it basically is going to give you a live view of chip read data as it's coming in from the readers or a file if you're importing from files. So on the right-hand side, you'll see raw reads and what we call scored reads. So raw reads are the data as it comes in directly from your streams or your readers. And we basically filter that down into what we call scored reads, which are used for scoring. You know, the last read taken for start lines, the first read taken for finish lines. And you can also view recent reads as they come in. On the left, you'll see a little scrolling leaderboard, mini leaderboard that just shows the 5 most recent times that have crossed at each location that you have defined. So this is all dynamic based on how many locations you have. If in this race I had more locations, like a split point, you would see additional little panels or boxes inside the screen, giving you the ability to view recent reads at each and every single location that you have. In addition to that, you can quickly set start times for races right here using that green set start times link, and you'll be able to view the running time for each race that you're using. This race wasn't a great example It was a past race that I had loaded up for demonstration, but it would show all the different running clocks you had. So if you had a 5K starting, that's been 15 minutes in, and a 10K that's 30 minutes in, those would show running in real time there. So the next screen I'll talk about is this participant sync screen. And before I do that, you'll notice as I'm walking through this, on the left, I'm walking down the tabs in the app. So we've set up the menu system with RaceDay scoring basically to guide you in the setup of a race. So in general, you'll start at the top and walk your way down as you are configuring your race. You may need to bump around between some as you are scoring the race. Most of the time you'll spend during a race will be on that race dashboard, or if you needed to go and print out a report in the reports. You really don't need to go in and change too much in the setup or configuration during a race. But you'll just notice as I'm going through this that you'll see me walking down that tab, and that's on purpose. Try to make it a little more simple for you guys. So what's important to understand about participant sync is, like Bob had mentioned before, this is a live syncing, an automatic sync that's happening in real time as soon as you begin the sync process. So we are able to harness the power of RunSignUp's open API, and what that lets us do is have automatic bidirectional sync happening in real time. So what that means to a timer would be that when you're on a race site and you have a good internet connection, any changes you make in RaceDay scoring automatically get reflected in RunSignUp. Any changes made in RunSignUp automatically get reflected in RaceDay scoring. So there's no need to make sure that you've uploaded things correctly or imported them correctly. Everything just flashes in. As soon as I go into the app and load up a race that exists on RunSignUp and say save sync settings and begin participant data sync, in the background everything is syncing and happening right away. So it's really, really nice. It's an incredibly fast sync process. You never have issues with, missing registration IDs from participants that you've imported from a spreadsheet. I know RunScore users have had to, some have had issues with that in the past. They didn't import the data correctly, so they aren't able to send out result notifications. Things like that will never be an issue here. So it's really cleaned that up. And that's, I think, the biggest benefit of RaceDay scoring today is just the sync process is so solid. So another piece that's really cool here is you are able to easily map in additional fields. Those could be things like custom questions from RunSignUp. So you may have a custom question that you want to include in your result data in one way or another. For instance, you may have a custom question that says, are you a fireman or are you a police officer or something like that. It could be a drop down where you have to pick, are you a police officer or a fireman or something else. And what you could do is in RaceDay scoring, you have the option of importing that data. And if you import that data, you have even more options. What you can do is you can display that in a report as an additional column. You can also filter reports based on responses from that question. So I could build a report section that just says, give me the top 5 people who responded with police officer to this question. And it'll give us a filtered report that is just the top 5 people who have a match on that value. So it's a really quick and easy way to build out custom type reports. The next screen you'll see is the participants list. So this is, again, dynamic. It's happening in real time. All the syncing is done automatically. So this lets you just quickly look up someone's information, find out what event they're registered for, basic information for them, things like that. It also lets you import from a spreadsheet. So if you need to import a spreadsheet of data, you can do it right here. If you have some source of data that is, not from RunSignUp, you're able to build a race offline with RaceDay scoring. Just import that spreadsheet here, and it can automatically create the race on RunSignUp for you in order to process results online. You also can do manual adds here, just one by one. So that's really handy. We've done a good amount of work on the adding of participant data and made it quicker and easier to use for fast data entry. We have things that allow you to limit what fields are required, and actually will gray out certain fields if you want to say, I only want to enter in first name, last name, date of birth and zip code, for instance, because you just care about, filling in that. It automatically fills in the city and state from the zip code, and you don't really need their address for race day. So that's really handy. And in addition to that, we also have, like Bob had mentioned before, this concept of a race day hub, which will let me connect a client running race day scoring as a data entry computer. And all it does is it just lets someone type in new entries as they're coming into registration table, and it's connected to my scoring system and updating it automatically without internet. I could just have a local area connection set up between those two computers via a switch and Ethernet cables, or a wide area network using a Wi-Fi router. Anything like that can work. It's a really great solution for local on-site communications. On here as well, we do have this tab for groups and teams. So we recently have been working a lot on this groups and teams area. It'll give you a way to view the relay teams or competitive teams, things like that are set up for a race. And all that gets brought in automatically. You don't have to do anything in terms of setup for all those groups and team definitions to come down from RunSignUp. So if they set up their race for groups and teams and RunSignUp, it's all going to blow in here. You don't have to do any extra work for it. If you click into a participant by using the link here, we'll be able to see all the data for that participant. If I had a race here that had groups and teams, I could also see all of the associated group team members with them, with links out to each individual. So really, really slick, easy to navigate. Again, all this is quickly accessible, and everything syncs automatically, bidirectionally. So everything, is, you never have to worry about sync conflicts and things like that. It's all just happening for you in the background. Right here, you can view data for a participant's results. So in here, you can see all the standings for listings this person has. So for instance, this one has, they were 58th in the male 1 to 19 by chip listing. They were 153rd for the 5K male results by chip overall. They were 229 for the overall results by chip, 56 for the 1 to 19 placements, excluding top finishers by chip. So we build out all these listings for all the different scoring scenarios that we require. This one, they wanted to remove the top finishers from the age groups, so we created 2 listings, the 1 to 19 and the 1 to 19 excluding top finishers. So this is going to give you a view there. Also, we show all the scored reads for a participant here. This one just had 2. It's a common start finish location. So basically, they got 2 occurrences, one at 1946 and one at 2019. So the next tab down is streams. So streams in race day scoring are the raw data connection to the outside world. So an example of what a stream could be, there's a few different things. It could be a connection to a piece of iPico hardware. It could be just you're plugged in your Ethernet port to your computer, and this stream is my reader for iPico Direct Connect here. And I have to say what the IP is and what the port number is and some other items. It also could be something like a file that I have on my computer. So the way we handle file imports is you could set up a stream that points to a folder on your desktop, and then that folder, once you begin collecting reads, it's going to be looking for changes in that folder, and it's going to say whenever it picks up a new file or an additional line in a file that already exists in that folder, it's going to bring it into race day scoring and consider it for times. So streams are just the raw data. It doesn't do any filtering. It doesn't pick the first or the last read. It just gets everything and dumps it into a database so that later down the road in race day scoring, we can filter out that data in whatever way we need to in order to score the race the way you want. So what's really cool about the way we set this up is we made it really flexible so that it's easy for us to write custom file formats. And we've even given the ability to the user to define their own custom file formats. So if you have some backups timing solution that creates a basic CSV with time of day and bib number, you could really easily write a custom file importer that would allow you to import that CSV of times, and it's going to happen automatically, just as if it were a direct connection. Just whenever it senses that a change is in that file, it automatically picks it up. There's no need to click a button, import, browse for the file and things like that. Just all happening in real time. So these streams are really powerful. The stream management page is essentially where you can go to look and see all the streams that are being used in this system or not used. So the way we've set this up is that you can reuse streams across multiple races. You may have a certain folder that you like to use for your finish reads. So you could just point a stream to that finish reads folder on this computer and reuse it for all your races. Just dump out the files when you're done with them. And the next race, when you point your reader to push files there, it'll automatically pick them up. One thing that's also cool is that in this page, if you are using a direct type system like iPico or MyLapse Direct, we give you a little indicator on the name of the stream, which will let you know if you've dropped connection from that reader. And it will also display a little note in the application saying, hey, you've lost connection, or you've regained connection. So it's really helpful to view that status, and this is where that is done. Okay, so the next area is very closely related to streams, and these are what we call timing locations. So the way to think of timing locations is that they take the raw data from the streams, that big, huge, essentially database of all the times at this reader, and it says, okay, I'm going to filter that down and give me something that I can actually use for scoring. And what we call that are scored reads. We say that there are raw reads that include multiple reads for each person at each location, but scored reads are that one read that I have selected as my finish or start time or split point time or something like that. So we allow you to configure a few different things here. Basically, we have a few different profiles. So a timing location could be one of three things: a finish and or split time, a start and finish time location, or a start time only. And this basically tells RaceDay scoring, how do I manage which read to select for a person? So if you say finish and or split times, it's always going to pick the first time. If I say start time only, it's always going to pick the last time that it sees for each person. If you pick start and finish time, it's going to give you the option to pick up two reads for each person based on some set of filters that you define. So regardless of which type you have, you will have to set some kind of filtering. And this is saying, when do I want to collect start times until? If it's a start time only or a start and finish, you have to say, hey, in this race, I know that any time after 7:59 p.m. really wasn't a start time, it was a finish time. And this one, it's a common start finish, so I also have to define when do I want to begin collecting finish or split times. And in this race, I know that after 8:01, those are all finish times. And then beneath that, I have to decide how many times does each participant cross this location during the race. So this is my number of occurrences that I expect for each participant. So this is a common start finish, so I expect people to cross it twice, when they start and when they finish. So if you were setting up a race where they go out and then they cross the finish line twice and they finish on the third time, you would expect 3 occurrences from them if it was just a finish line only. And you'd define this gap factor. So in this one, I said 10 minutes because I know that they're not going to cross twice and within 10 minutes of each other. So this allows it to basically say that don't re-trigger if they cross the line then come back because they forgot something and had to go back out on course again. As long as it's within 10 minutes, you're going to ignore everything around 10 minutes of that one read and then wait until 10 minutes until pick up the next one. So another thing you can see here is that we have the ability to assign streams to a timing location. And that's important to understand that it's a plural there. You can do multiple streams for each location. So I could consider times from 4 different readers as main streams. And I could also assign a backup stream. What a backup stream is, we've created this to allow you to make a stream that you want to use, but only use if you do not already have a read for that bib number or that chip code in a main stream. So this is like if you have someone punching in times with a Summit timer or an iPad that's outputting to a CSV that's syncing to Dropbox to your timing computer. Basically, it's going to look up and see, do I have a bib or a chip time in one of my main streams for bib number 336? If so, throw out that time. But if I didn't, I'm going to use that backup time. So it's just a pretty simple way to set up a backup solution. All right, so next thing is the scored events. We can quickly combine multiple registration categories into a single scored event here. So this is really important and perfect for races with complicated pricing structures built out into the registration. So a lot of times we'll see that registration coordinator thinks it's a great idea to set up a 5K youth pricing event, 5K club member discount event, 5K AARP member discount event, but they're really all getting scored in the 5K. So what happens a lot is that timers have to manage that data themselves. They have to go in and download a spreadsheet, sort it, assign the columns correctly, get everybody into the 5K because that's what they're really doing, and then upload the data again. So that causes problems to the registration data because maybe they did want to see the data the way that they collected it. So with RaceDay scoring, what we allow you to do is combine multiple registration categories into a single scored event. So we have this concept of scored events, and it allows you to combine these categories into one without affecting the registration data. So it's really, really nice. You don't have to fool around with their registration or download a spreadsheet, change the data in the columns and import it that way. You can just say, okay, in this 5K scored event, I'm going to include the 5K youth, the 5K AARP, the 5K club, and so on and so forth. So the next thing to understand about scored events that's really cool is as soon as I click Save Scored Events here, it's going to say, all right, I know I've got 3 different events and they're all scored by chip time, and I know their start and finish locations. So at this point, I can create and build for you a bunch of different reports. So it's going to create for each and every event that I have, so 5K, 10K, 15K, I'm going to create a result report for each of them and base it on the start timing location I've defined and the finish timing location I've defined. And basically in real time, it's generating commonly used reports for you. So you have the ability to go and edit them and build your own, but we've made it so that this all happens in real time on the fly as you're building a race, because we already have all the data you need. We're going to go ahead and build that report for you in a smart way. The next tab down is segment definitions. So what segments are essentially are ways to define parts of a race that are within it. So you could say that I want to create a split point or a split time that's from the second passing of the start location to the third passing of the finish location. That could be some weird segment that you need to score. It could be a hill climb in the middle of a Gran Fondo. It could be just a simple, a 10K that's 2 laps, and you want to report their first and their second lap times in addition to their entire race. You would use segments to do that. So each and every single race or event you build, will have an inherent entire race segment. And what it does is it builds that based on the settings that you've set up in the scored events configuration. In this one, I know that I was starting at start finish and I was finishing at start finish, and I've defined what currents I'm going to use for each. If I clicked add a segment, we'd be able to define a custom one and pick which starting point and ending point I want to use. You could have a lap timing location that you want to use in order to define this custom segment. So when you create a race and use custom segments, it'll automatically add those segments to the default reports that are being generated. So you'll see those split times in your reports immediately after creating a custom segment like you have here. So the next item on the list is the age groups. So we give you a quick and easy, flexible way to create age bands. You can add age bands manually or in ranges. So I could say that I want to create, 10 bands that are 5 years between, and I want to set 3 award winners per, and it'll just blow out all the different ranges for you automatically. So as of right now, we don't have what I'm going to talk about in this area, but we will next week, where we have top finisher categories, which are like overall, masters, veterans, things like that, that are removed from their age groups. They're in a different area of the app today, but we have the work done. We just are working on getting it built for production. Soon we're going to have that available here, so you can configure your top finisher categories right in this area, as well as your age groups and also your group classifications. So we're going to have basically all of the scoring configuration done in this area. And as soon as you click Save Age Groups, it's going to build out all those reports again for you that are pertinent to this screen. So this screen is building out age group data. So as soon as I save this, I'll have new reports built for each and every event that I have. For all of these age groups, it's going to build out a nice little report for me that I could use to show my award, give to my awards presenter at the end of the race to present the awards. So the next option is probably not going to be used very often. What it is this little gears menu, and it's the advanced scoring configuration. So this is handy if you are a tinkerer, if you want to go in and look and see all the different listings that are being generated for this race that reports are built on. So listings are the placements for different types of situations. So I have a listing for each of the age groups for each of the events here. Female 20 to 29, male 20 to 29. Anything that relies on a placed field would have a listing. So I can see that these listings were used for different reports. If you click that link over on the right, it would give you a link to all the reports that this listing is using. And so we have built out a few things here. We also are shortly adding in the ability to view the math or the sorts and filters that are being used to define each of these. So, this 5K female 20 to 29, if I were to click into it, I could see that it has a filter, and the filter is gender must equal female, and the age must be between 20 and 29. It's pretty straightforward, but what it does do is give you a view into what's happening under the hood. We also give you the ability here to download all the listings that are currently in this race if you wanted to take a look at the actual code and build your own and use it as a template. You can upload that if you wanted to. I don't highly recommend it. It's a little bit cryptic, but we do have the ability to let you run wild with the software in this menu. But just know you don't have to.
Matt, this is really where there's a lot of similarity in concept to RunScore and their listings, and the fact that that they're all available and the programming logic is available. We've tried to make it simpler, so you don't have to go and see that, but for the power RunScore users who want to do things on their own, this is where the rubber meets the road, basically.
Exactly. So one of the things that we understand is there are timers out there who love to tinker and get dirty with this kind of stuff. And there are also timers out there who just want to copy the same race setup that they've always done. They've had this listings file every year for 20 years, and all they want to do is redo it the exact same way. So we've kind of given you both options here. We've made the software simple enough to use so that reusing an existing setup or scoring a basic 5K isn't a hassle. But if you do want to go in and play with it and define your own custom scoring rules and configurations and different fields, custom fields, you have the power to do that yourself. So it's been our goal to make it open and available to you to tinker with it as much as you want. But if you don't want to think about it, you can just be hands-off and let the system build all the reports for you and generate all the times for you as it is. Just some more items we have in the advanced scoring section, we have these what we call listing packages, which will generate all of the different listings for like overall finished positions. This will basically generate all of the overall finished position listings for each of the events that you create, gender finished positions, team gender finished positions, all different types of things that you could potentially create. You can enable through here manually if you want to generate all these listings. Instead of importing them, you have the ability to do it using this package system as well. So in the future, we'll give users a way to basically share these and write up their own custom ones. And this will be a really cool area in the future for those users looking to define their own custom, age grading system or series scoring point system, things like that. And the final area on, well, not the final area, but the most important area is reports. So reports are how RaceDay scoring just presents the user with times. So what it does, as you see in this one on the left, is it will auto-generate for my event an age group report and an overall report. And if you click the link with the green text on the left, it'll show you a preview of the report, and it'll let you search through it. It'll let you do some basic sorting and things like that. You also have the ability to export reports to CSV, HTML, TXT. We'll also be shortly supporting GRU data exports. In addition to that, you can auto-save each report. And auto-saving allows you to say every 30 seconds write out to a PDF, or every 30 seconds publish this to RunSignUp. You also have the ability to make a report available to the RaceDay Hub, which is that local network sharing solution that we offer, so that you could say this report is going to be turned into a kiosk. So you may want to create a custom report that is just basic information to show on a kiosk, and then publish that one automatically to my RaceDay Hub, and then boop, it'll be available to the clients on your network, and they can grab that report and display it in a nice little kiosk setup. So the last area I want to talk about really quick is this automated actions, which is found at the bottom of the race tabs. So this is a new feature that we're still working on developing, and we are basically building out all these different circumstances where you would want an action to happen automatically based on some set of data. So this would be like, for instance, this is a great example. I want to change everybody's event to marathon if their bib number is between 1 and 100 and they pass the timing location called marathon checkpoint. So the idea would be that I could build a action trigger here and say that I want to change the event for each person who crosses this line, and I'm going to send them the 5K event if their bib number is between less than 100 and their timing location equals start finish. So this is a way to basically automate some actions based on some logic that you can define. So it's really powerful stuff. We haven't worked out all the kinks with it yet, but it's something that we're going to be adding a whole lot of new features to in the coming months. So, okay, that's the quick rundown of the product itself. I don't want to spend too much time with you here, but before we go, I do want to quick go over the platform pricing. So the idea is it's a yearly subscription. It's similar pricing if you, for those who are familiar with the Race Director license agreement, similar to that in terms of pricing. We try to make it pretty close. We do give a discount to RunSignUp races because we like the timers that work with us, and they help us out a lot. So we want to help them out in return. So we give them a discount on our platform pricing. So this actually today includes the Race Director and RaceDay scoring. So if you are already on, if you were unsure about continuing to use RunScore and you were looking at Race Director as a potential solution, if you switched over today, you would actually have access to both pieces of software. So we are going to continue supporting Race Director out until 2023. And so it's still available to you there. It's still a great piece of software. And if you purchase the platform today, you're going to have access to both. You also have access to all of the great features that RunSignUp provides, the timers, things like bib assignment, check-in, runner tracking, photos, results, and so on. We do also bundle RaceJoy for run sign up races if you're a certified timer, and we have some good pricing discounts if you are a certified timer, which we can talk about if you have any questions on that. So what is the pricing? This is the breakdown. So essentially what we've done is we built it based on the number of participants that register for races that you time over the course of a year. So we try to be fair with this. We didn't want to make it too expensive for our everyday timer who's just trying to, get by. They're not a massive business. We don't want to ding those timers that are small time. What we want to do is make sure that those timers that are, 750,000 person organizations, we don't want them to be using the software essentially for free. So we do make it quite expensive for those who are timing a whole lot of participants. But for the average timer, it's not going to be that expensive for you. In the middle column, we'll see how many the pricing discount that we give if you have run sign up registrations and actually cross-country participants. So if you add up your number of run sign up registrations you do in a year and cross-country participants, you can get the discount listed here. Bob, did you want to jump in?
Matt and I used to be cross-country runners. That's why there's a discount for cross-country.
That is true. Yep. We know that cross-country you don't tend to make a lot of money in cross-country, putting them online and using online registration for them, but you still have to time them. And so we wanted to give a kickback to those timers who are, cross-country timers, because we think it's really good to support that part of the market. It's extremely important to the running community as a whole for us to support cross-country. So that's why we do that. And on the right, we just see if you were a timer that happened to use, all run sign up races, that would be your net price. So you pay for the suite and you get all the things I listed before. In addition to that, you also get some results credits. So if you're unfamiliar with results credits, they are these ones are earned for purchasing the RaceDay suite subscription. They can be used for posting results for non-run sign up run registration races. And basically, they're purchased or they're granted to a user, and that user can use them in any race they want to. They're not tied to a specific one. So we give 100,000 essentially to most timers immediately when they purchase, and then as you go up in number of registrations, essentially, it will scale that way. So you get, based on the number of registrations from the last screen here, that number of result notifications and so on. If it is a run sign up registration race that you're timing, photos, text, results, those are all unlimited. So you don't really have to worry about those races. It's just those ones that are only like you bring in a race that's didn't have any run sign up registrations associated with it. It was an offline only race, or it was a one from another company. So how do I get it? Well, you have to purchase the license first. You can do that right at this link here, runsignup.com/rdscoring/purchase. You have to set up a timer account. This allows you to manage any races you have access to on RunSignUp as a timer. Also allows you to add additional secondary owners to better manage your organization. So basically, we're going to be adding a lot to this in the future. What we're going to be doing is giving you a way to kind of manage your timer business as a whole on this page. So I highly recommend creating one and getting it in line now if you don't already have one. This will also in the future allow you to view all the races that you have scored in RaceDay scoring. It in the future will let you upload exports of the race configuration and the result data to RunSignUp, so you could basically remotely push a race setup back to RunSignUp and then pull it down to another computer and rescore it, things like that. One thing that's good to know is that the software right now, as it stands, is free to use if you use it in demo mode. We'll have some restrictions on that, but right now it is free to use in demo mode, so you can go ahead and try it out. You can follow along with all of our updates at our blog, so that's racedayscoring.blog, and highly recommend subscribing to the blog here. It's going to give you all the updates about the recent updates that we've done to the software, as well as, just a few other things. We'll be putting some blog posts on there pertinent to RaceDay scoring and the RaceDay suite. Also gives you more information on the product itself. We have a roadmap here talking about what different features we're going to have in each update, what's in development, what's still planned, things like that. And if you have any suggestions to us, we're more than happy to take those. You can go ahead and fill out a suggestions form right here. If you have an idea that you may think we may have overlooked, you can send us it right here and get in touch with us definitely. If you have any questions, you can do that right in this contact form as well. So yeah, that's what we have for you today. Thanks for sticking around. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is avery@runsignup.com, or just fill out the contact form on the blog. That goes to my email as well. Hope to hear from you soon. See you later.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.